A winter gala at Alderbridge Hall always looked like a painting that learned how to glow. Chandeliers hummed with light, violins rested on velvet, and money floated in the air like perfume. At the room's center, a concert grand waited under a soft spill of gold. Near the edge of all that shine stood someone who didn't belong to it, at least not in the way the guests thought. A small boy, 10 at most, wiry and watchful, wearing a too big grey shirt under a stained apron. His trousers sagged at the knees. Yellow cleaning gloves clung to his hands. He'd been mopping the marble just outside the ballroom when the laughter started. "Look what wandered in," drawled a man in a cream tuxedo, lifting his glass. The boy, name tag half peeled, letters reading Eli, stilled. He'd learned to be invisible, work fast, eyes down, don't make a ripple. But someone had thrown a stone into the lake. He turned slowly into the gaze of Lysandra Vale. Lysandra wore royal blue the way a queen wears a crown. Her heels clicked like flint on the marble. The smirk that started at her mouth spread to the room in seconds. "Adorable," she exclaimed, pointing with a lacquered nail. They let the janitor's child into the ballroom. "And look, gloves, how precious." The laughter came harder. A woman in silver pressed her hand to her stomach. A man tapped his friend's shoulder, thrilled to be part of it. Eli folded his fingers tighter around the mop handle and fought the urge to run. Lysandra drifted toward the concert grand, each step a lesson in power. "Tell me," she said, stopping beside the shining black lid, "have you ever seen a piano like this? Or do you just scrub the legs when no one's looking?" Another guest chimed in. "He probably uses the keys like a washboard." The room broke again. Heat pricked Eli's ears. He'd been insulted before. He'd heard neighbors whisper when his mother wore her uniform on the bus. But never like this. Never amplified by champagne and chandeliers. Lysandra's manicured fingers tapped the rim. Clink, clink, clink. "This instrument costs more than your family will see in a lifetime," she said. Voice carrying to the far corners. "It's for music, not for hands in rubber." He looked at the piano. Years ago, before the eviction notice, before his mother traded lesson books for a bucket, he had touched keys like these. Once. Twice. Enough to memorize how hope felt in his fingers. "What's wrong?" Lysandra tilted her head. "Cat got your tongue? Or do you only know how to scrub?" A man in a narrow bow tie called out, "He can play something with the mop." Laughter again, abundant, easy, cruel. Then Lysandra lifted her chin, sudden and theatrical, and the room leaned in. "Let's have a little fun," she announced. "If you can play this piano, actually play it, I'll adopt you." Gasps, a gleeful spill of whispers, a few nervous laughs. Someone clapped like she'd told the joke of the night. Eli's chest squeezed. Adopt him? As if he didn't have a mother who double-shifted her bones to keep him fed. As if he were a stray to be fetched. Lysandra folded her arms, eyes bright with victory. "Well, play, little cleaner, or admit you're only good for floors." The crowd watched for his shame. Eli's hands trembled. He looked from her smile to the keys and felt the mop's damp handle in his grip. Then, with a breath that felt like stepping off a ledge, he tugged off the gloves. They peeled away with a soft snap, yellow against yellow light. He stuffed them into his apron and took one small step forward. "Look," someone snickered. "He's serious." "Perfect," said another. "Make it quick." Eli closed his eyes. The ballroom dropped away. In its place bloomed a smaller room. The rented studio with peeling paint, the second-hand upright with 3 chipped ivories. And the voice he trusted most. "Don't just press, Eli. Listen first. Let the notes teach your hands what to say." His fingers hovered, then fell. One note, a pearl on water, a few chuckles. Then another. Then 3. The chuckles thinned. He found the shape, soft at first, then a ribbon drawing tight, then loosening, then building. He didn't play for them. He played for the hours his mother, Maris, had given him in a life that kept snatching things away. He played for the afternoon light that used to slant across that old upright. Dust turning to gold, the melody breathed. The room didn't. Lysandra's smirk loosened, almost imperceptibly. Guests shifted, the way people do when beauty blindsides them and leaves them a little ashamed. Eli's shoulders rose and settled. He crossed the bridge and made the left hand whisper. He curved the right into a question and answered it himself. When he landed the final chord, the silence that followed wasn't empty, it was full. From the doorway, a voice cracked it. "Eli!" He jerked his head up. Maris stood there, uniform slightly wrinkled, hair escaping its bun, eyes wide with a fear that had learned patience. She pushed through the sudden sea of stillness, reached him, and gripped his shoulders. "I told you to stay in the service corridor," she whispered, breath shaking. Then she turned to the room, then to Lysandra, and lowered her head. I'm sorry. I couldn't leave him at home tonight. He said he'd help. This is my fault. Please forgive us. Eli swallowed. The plea battered him harder than the laughter had. He wanted to tell her he was okay. He wanted to tell her that for the first time all evening, he wasn't small. A man near the back cleared his throat. He was older, his grey suit plain and well cut. A name tag reading Bernard Voss. That wasn't luck, he said softly. That was craft. He plays better than the quartets you hire, murmured the woman in silver, the one who'd laughed the hardest. The whispers changed weight. Lysandra's laugh came late and brittle. Well, she said, forcing bright, looks like the boy has a parlour trick. And I did say I'd adopt him. Maris flinched as if slapped. No, she said, voice breaking. Please, he is my son. He belongs with me. I only brought him because I have no one else. I work here to feed him, please. The room recoiled from its reflection. Moments ago, they'd been a chorus. Now they were witnesses. No one wanted that job. Bernard Voss stepped forward, slow but certain. Enough, he said, not loudly, but in a way walls respect. This isn't entertainment anymore. You made a spectacle of a child. He played, he answered you. Let that be the end. Lysandra held his gaze too long. Colour climbed her throat. She looked past Bernard to her circle, as if the laugh track might restart. It didn't. Silence pressed. She lowered her hand. Eli felt his mother's fingers slip into his hair, anchoring him. You did nothing wrong, Maris whispered. Do you hear me? For the first time he did. Guests began to drift, some with awkward nods at Maris, some with eyes fixed on the floor. A violinist lifted her case and left without speaking. The man in cream took a long swallow and found somewhere else to stand. Bernard approached the piano, his gaze kind and unhurried. What did you play? He asked Eli. Eli shrugged, suddenly shy. Something I remember, he said. From before. Bernard nodded as if before were a place he'd visited. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a card. I fund a youth arts program, he said, offering it to Maris. Auditions are in 2 weeks. If you'd like a private one sooner, call that number. We could use someone who listens like that. Maris's hand shook as she took it. I thank you, she managed. The word small, because anything larger would have shattered her. Lysandra, still nearby, still watched, cleared her throat. She faltered, then found a safe sentence. Send the boy a piano, Bernard. A modest one. From me. She tried a smile that didn't quite land. Consider it a correction. Bernard considered her for a beat. Consider it a start, he said. Eli and his mother slipped toward the service door. The chandelier light narrowed behind them, the way light does at the edge of a story. Eli's fingers tingled with the ghost of the last chord. He had walked into a room that laughed and left it listening. At the threshold, Maris stopped. You scared me, she murmured, thumb brushing his cheek. But I'm proud. I know, he said. They stepped into the cooler, quieter hallway, where the smell of polish returned and work waited. Eli looked down at the bald yellow gloves in his apron pocket. He didn't put them on. The ballroom at Alderbridge Hall would host 100 more nights like that one. The guests would come in gowns and glow, and the chandeliers would hum. But somewhere under all that, in the quiet place where a story sets its roots, the room would remember the boy who made it listen. If this story moved you, tap and subscribe to Tree of Stories for more tales where the quiet ones change the room. Tell us where you're watching from. We love hearing your cities and stories. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious.